I'm Sharon. Welcome to my YouTube channel. It's inevitable that we all feel lonely sometimes. It's bound to happen. However, I do think that this lockdown situation perhaps gives us more potential to feel lonelier than ever, really. However, I would just like to suggest that there's a very big difference between being alone and being lonely. It's not the same thing at all. In fact, I often feel most lonely when I'm in a crowded room. I'm quite content on my own as usual. Of course, my day-to-day situation isn't the time alone. I'm working at home, my husband works at home, my son's around most of the time at the moment. He's in lockdown too, of course. And actually people often ask us, how on earth do you cope both working from home? Don't you get on each other's nerves? You must drive each other mad. But the thing is, that's the point, we are working from home. And so very often the days just slip by with my husband in his workplace, me at the opposite end of the house in my workplace, and we'll just sort of meet up for lunch or something like that, just briefly. And I would say that the lockdown, of course, has affected us, both being self-employed, well, all of us being self-employed. However, on a day-to-day sort of work routine, it hasn't made a massive amount of difference. My husband, he's sort of put up a post. His life hasn't changed at all. He's just sitting in his workroom painting away as ever. Actually, I've been busier than ever, if anything, because my teaching routine has obviously been suspended. I've had more time than ever and I've been beavering away, I've been studying, I've been really digging and getting lots of videos recorded, I've been practising away, and I think that's the point for a musician. We need to spend long periods of time on our own. If we're not going to make the progress. No doubt we all have our down days, but the point is we're supposed to be practising. And so if I felt a little bit down over this last few weeks, I've just kind of tried to put it to one side and used work as a focus to take my mind off things, and then I've just got cracking, and that's helped me to really work through it. There's no magic involved in terms of getting better at our instrument. We just need to spend the time alone to practice. So in actual fact, time alone can be a really positive thing. In fact, I would suggest that most of the people that we look up to, those role models that we create, they are where they are now because of long periods of time spent alone. If you think about it, let's think whatever field you choose, whether it's an athlete, like Sir Chris Hoy on his bicycle, or marathon runners or racing, they've spent long periods of time training, physically training, working out, just focusing on getting their discipline sorted. I know F1 drivers, car drivers, they have to keep in top physical form, or bike racers just the same. And then on top of that, they have to then memorise the tracks that they're racing as well, or where the turns and things come in. Actors, of course, if you think about actors, first and foremost, they've got to learn their lines. They've got to spend long periods of time quiet, studying, learning their lines before they even get to the more interactive rehearsal level. So being alone isn't necessarily a bad thing, it's a good thing really. I do remember when I was practising for my grade 8, it was when I was doing my A-levels, I just met my husband at the time. I used to say that my metronome was my best friend because I just spent so many hours clicking away. I was playing a Mozart piece and it was about 12 pages long. That was just one of 3 pieces, and I had to start really slow with the metronome, clicking really slowly, and then when I could manage that, I'd notch it up one and do it again, 12 pages through, then notch it up again, 12 pages through, just so that I could get the timing, because otherwise, you know how it goes, we end up doing the easy bits fast and then we'll slow down on the tricky bits, so you've got to work it through with the metronome. Of course, that isn't strictly true. I do have friends and I'm really grateful for the friends, and my husband, of course, who I'd met at the time. In fact, he used to run to come and see me because he was training for a marathon at the time, and so he'd run 10 miles to come and see me. sit down, have a brew. I'd got to get my practice done because my grade 8 was looming, and if I didn't get my grade 8, I'd fail my A level. The two were combined with the syllabus that I was doing. And so he'd sit and listen to me practice. Inevitably, he'd miss the last bus home and have to run all the way back home, another 10 miles. After sitting listening, he probably fell asleep actually. I think he did most of the time after a long run, and I'm clonking away on the piano. Oh dear. However, of course, no man is an island. We all need friends, and I'm really, really grateful to my friends. I've really appreciated a phone call to my friend who's helping me with my studies and encouraging me and studying alongside me. And just being generally encouraging, and even not all work, it doesn't all have to be work. It's been nice to sort of have a little chat to my friends about gardening, about knitting and so on. So I'm not suggesting that we don't need other people, but I don't think being alone is necessarily a negative thing. And so whilst we're in this period of lockdown, I just thought it might be helpful to you to give another perspective on it, and let's turn this into a positive. We've got plenty of time on our hands if we're in lockdown. Let's put it to good use, and then we'll see the fruits of that when we're out of this, and we'll have made some really good progress, and we'll be encouraged. So I hope that's helpful to you. I'll see you next time. Bye.